are here in Da Nang, Vietnam, on the central coast of Vietnam, and if you've watched any of my live streams, you know that some of the most asked questions I can only answer once. So I thought we'd get some more answers for you and kind of discover why everybody is here in Da Nang, Vietnam, what are they doing, and about how much does it cost for them to live. Let's go. Please tell us your name, where you're from, and what you do for your living.
Okay, my name is Carmela. I am from France, Paris, and I'm currently a software developer.
And so how long have you been in the software development industry?
It's been now 3 years, and I've been loving it, but I'm currently transitioning to do more personal training.
How long have you been interested in doing training?
After COVID, to be quite honest, I didn't like being so much sedentary. I wanted to be outside, and I like to move a lot. Not too much being behind my computers, even though it has many benefits.
My name's Mike, and I'm from the United States, and I teach languages online.
Very cool. Where from in the United States, if you don't mind sharing?
Oregon.
How long have you been teaching online, and what got you into that line of work?
Probably about 2 or 3 years now, and I was a teacher in the United States at a high school. And then I quit my job there and moved out to the Southeast Asia.
I'm Andrea. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, specifically Spokane and Seattle. And I'm an online business manager and a dream therapist. You probably haven't heard of many dream therapists, but I help people interpret their dreams and basically connect with their subconscious mind.
This is wild. How did you get into this specific line of work?
Well, with the online business management, it makes sense because I worked in TV for about 8 years, got all the marketing, management, all that. Dream therapy came from basically my spiritual awakening, and I started having lucid dreams, and that's what inspired me to start traveling.
My name's Harry from Liverpool, and I'm a quantity surveyor.
What is that?
Like in construction. Like construction, but I work on my laptop. So like anything that gets built, we price the jobs from the drawings. I use my laptop to do that.
How long have you been in this industry?
3 years.
And what?
My name is Joe. I'm actually from America, but currently live in Korea, but kind of just stopped by Vietnam.
Cool.
Gonna be here for a couple months.
And what is it that you do for work, Joe?
Yeah, so I run a staffing firm for instructors, pretty much teachers. I was a teacher myself, and then got connected to certain people in the industry.
It allows you to work completely remotely?
Yeah.
My name is Ning. I'm Vietnamese, but I grew up in Germany, and I'm a designer by trade.
Could you give us some specifics on what type of design?
Yeah, so I studied architecture, but over time I transitioned to UX design, so designing software applications for tech companies. Besides that, I'm building my own online business. So it's e-commerce. I'm also in the e-commerce space because it merges well with my design skills.
Do you think software development is something that someone with no experience could get into and begin working remotely?
Absolutely, but to start up with, you really need to build that foundation for. When I studied, of course, and I found a company. They didn't allow me to do remotely right away. I had to make my proofs and show them that I could be reliable. And eventually the opportunity opened to me, so I was really happy that I could get the flexibility.
Sure.
The moment I heard like you can go remote, I booked my flight and I was away.
Teaching language online, is that something that you would recommend to others if they want to also travel?
Yeah, and if they can get into it and they can build like a good following of students, yeah, it's definitely doable, especially in terms of a country that has a low cost of living like Vietnam.
If someone else is trying to travel as well and work remotely, what's like that one piece of advice you would give them?
I wish I could say something concrete, like do this, do that, but honestly, I think the best thing you can do is just make the decision and go for it. And figure it out as you go. For me, I had no idea I was going to be doing this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just sort of started figuring it out as I went along, and it just sort of developed into what it is now by taking each step and following my dreams.
If you had any bit of advice for others that are trying to get into a similar line of work that allows them to work remotely, what would be your first suggestion for them or your best piece of advice?
I think building up a skill is very important. For me, what helped is building my network at home first, and then through my network, I got remote jobs. And then I knew exactly, okay, if I have a runway like 6 to 12 months, I use that runway to build my business.
What brought you to Da Nang specifically?
I would be considered as a Viet Kieu, so as someone with Vietnamese family, but growing abroad and now coming back. It makes it so much easier for me to communication-wise in Vietnam. And also, I think Da Nang for me has a great combination of a lot of things like good food, safety, very important, especially for women.
Yes.
And then the lifestyle. I mean,
This right? It's a nice town for having the beach, and it's not too hard to get around. It's not as big as like Ho Chi Minh or other cities like that. Yeah, it's beautiful, and the cost of living is awesome.
So what brought you here to Da Nang, Vietnam?
To be quite honest, TikTok. I've seen like the B-rolls, the edits
Yes,
of
ma'am.
Da
Yeah,
Nang, and it was amazing. I was like, what is this? And I just clicked and I find it like a cheap flight and was like, why not?
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, first of all, the cost makes it a lot better.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, the burger's $5 for like burgers, fries, and all that. So it's awesome, and the beach is nearby. Really super cool people. Super chill and awesome food.
Yeah.
Just really good vibes all the way.
And so why'd you choose Da Nang over anywhere else since you just came from Korea?
It's just I wanted to travel, but I wanted to work and travel at the same time. So I figured, why not? Because it's a lot more affordable here than other countries.
Speaking of that affordability, one of the main questions I get asked all the time is about what it costs me a month to live here in Da Nang. Do you have just like a guesstimate of about what you would spend here?
But for me, I would say if you have maybe around, if you're living alone, maybe between I would say like $1,000 per month would be pretty comfortable living here.
I agree with you. What brought you to Da Nang?
At the beach, and it's quite cheap, and the people are cool.
Speaking of the affordability and the cost, would you mind sharing like a ballpark about what it costs you to live here monthly?
I reckon about 1,200 a month, maybe.
And that would be US dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that includes your rent, your food, entertainment, and everything.
The big one is rent. So my rent here is like $220,
Killer.
and that includes that's including the utilities, stuff like that. And then food is just food is so inexpensive. It's barely even worth keeping track of. Like you go out to eat and you're like, oh, $2. So it's just crazy cheap. It's just a fraction of what I used to live on.
I mean, you could do it for $400 or $500. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like I go up into the $800 or $900 range.
Yep.
Some months more, but it's pretty easy to live here.
Myself, in terms of my expense monthly, I'm around 2,000 euros, everything including accommodation and like mobility, traveling around, activities as well. And eating here is so cheap.
Oh my God.
So it's very easy to be on a low budget, but at the same time, you need to prepare yourself. You didn't think like, oh, I'm going to come here and my expenses are going to be so low because of the currency, because you tend to overspend easily.
Thinking about Vietnam in general, I think you have a huge spectrum where you can live extremely low cost, and then you can have a very lavish lifestyle, right? And I would say on average, if you don't count pennies, then around 1,000 to 1,500 USD.
Do you think that you would find yourself staying here longer than maybe expected, or do you have another place that you would like to visit?
For now, I think I'm gonna stay here, and we'll see where life takes us. Been loving it so far, so.
I loved it so much that I will come back after the rainy season.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to do that.
If you don't mind me asking a question that's asked so very often, how do you feel about your personal safety as a solo woman traveler here in Vietnam and elsewhere?
I've never feel like any form of insecurity. And it is crazy because even compared to some developed countries I've traveled to, even France, Southeast Asia is one of the most places where I felt the safest as a woman traveling. I'm taking Grabs all the time, at any moment of the day.
Yes.
And, I trust them with my life. I'm on the bike. They're going fast.
Miss Carmela, I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to chat with us today and answering some questions that are often asked. Thank you so very much, and enjoy your time in Vietnam.
Thank you so much.
It's a good place to start your remote life here.
I totally agree with
Yeah.
this. Miss Andrea, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My friend, thank you for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. Bye.